Hi, this is Crystal, and I am off to Shambhala here on YouTube, and this is another episode of Reseller Shop Talk, because this is my life. It's what I do, and I love it. So if you are new to reselling, or you've been in it for a while, hopefully you will find something of value by listening to my experiences, my thought processes, where I'm at, and what I'm doing. Let's see. So today I'm mostly going to be talking about my plans, my strategies, and various different things. But first I want to mention that if you happen to watch my last Christmas haul, which I believe it was might have been my last video or the video right before my last video, I did a Christmas haul of Christmas stuff, and lo and behold, out of all the stuff that I've gotten listed, which I still have a few more things that I haven't listed yet, but the one thing that sold first out of that batch is the thing that I was afraid wouldn't sell. Just kind of interesting how my instinct can be off, and then sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm off. It's just, you know, I guess I am totally not a psychic person at all whatsoever. I don't have this special ability. It just, it never ceases to amaze me. But I mean, it's like I knew that they would sell. I mean, I felt confident that they would sell, but I did not think that they would sell, like, first thing. I thought maybe they would sell closer to Christmas time out of all of the Christmas things. It was the those White House Christmas tree ornaments, and I think the thing that attracted the buyer was probably I think it was the 2012 I can't remember which president it was commemorating, but what those are is they are ornaments that commemorate various different presidencies. And one of them was for Taft, and the other one was, I cannot remember for the life of me. But anyways, it was a really cool old-timey car, and it was just really cute ornament for sure. So I noticed that I think that was one of the higher priced ones that had actually sold recently on eBay as a single ornament, and I think it had sold for $12 or $14 or something like that. And so I probably, one of the reasons that mine sold is because it was kind of cheap. I ran a sale and it had dropped down to $9 and some change with my markdown sale, not including shipping. So, you know, maybe I probably should have priced it a little higher. But what are you going to do? Who knows? I mean, who's to say that somebody would have bought it for $5 more than what I had it listed for? But then every time something sells, I'm like, I bet somebody would have paid $5 more for this. I don't know. You just don't know. I feel like it's such a crapshoot. You know, you put stuff up at high prices, and sometimes you get it, and then sometimes you lower it, and then it finally sells, and sometimes you lower it, and it still doesn't go anywhere. It just, there's very few guarantees. But one thing that does seem to sell consistently for me is things like what is showing in the screen here. Now, this right here, this blue thing with the chrome circular dealio here face, it's a Silver Clean humidifier, and the silver keeps it, there's like some kind of silver things that you put in it or something. I need to look into it more, but that helps to keep the water bacteria free, which is actually a problem with humidifiers. And these seem to be kind of actively selling for around the $30 mark, let's just say. They're probably it could be $25, $30 to ship for all I know. Hopefully maybe less than 20. It's hard to say who it's going to go to and how much it's going to ship for, but buyer will probably pay somewhere around $50 in total. Now, there's a bunch of these listed right now for really high prices, which is good. So I'm happy to see that, because if people really want these things, they're going to have to pay up. And I haven't looked into whether these are still being made or how much they are new, like on Amazon or somewhere else. But I do need to do some more research, but I'm pretty confident this is going to sell. And I've got the shipping center. My shipping center is all set up to ship stuff like this. It's not super, super big. I think I can totally handle it. And so I need to stop shying away from stuff like this, especially because I really got the setup for shipping. And I need to get back into selling stuff like this. I guess the other reason, not only are these things kind of hard to pack, I mean, it's compared to clothing. Oh my God, I love clothing so much. But they're expensive to ship, so if there's a problem, you got to eat shipping. And I've had to do that a couple times, and it's not nice. And so that has sort of made me back away from selling stuff like this. But at the same time, I mean, it's stuff that sells, so I just feel like I'm going to have to take the risk. It's risk and reward. I've really got to get my numbers up. And I picked it up for just a few dollars. How much did I pay for it? Half of $8. I paid $4 for it. So, I figured it was worth it. This over here I bought a long time ago for about $4 as well. Maybe $5. And then I just wasn't sure if I wanted to ship it. It seemed like there was a lot of these kinds of hair dryers. It's a hair dryer, like a salon style vintage. There was a lot of these listed, and they didn't seem like they were going for a lot, but I just double checked it. And so I just left it sitting, and I'm like, I'll deal with it eventually. It wasn't that I wasn't going to list it, but it wasn't as attractive to get on it, so it was one of those ones that I ended up putting off. And it works perfectly. It's very clean, and it's a really awesome groovy green celadon kind of color. So I think there was one kind of similar to this but different style that sold for like $35 recently. So, and there's another one exactly like this, except I think it was white, but it was like the same model that is listed like on auction starting at $20 or something like that right now. So, I'm just going to go ahead and try to get like $35.40 for it. And I'm just going to hold out because, maybe even a little more than that because, girls that do these things are just awesome for people that like to do the hair at home. I should probably even try to sell it locally. It's great if you're doing color. It seems like curl is coming back, so this could really help, set your curls. And the color it works great. Like I should probably try to get more money for it and maybe even try it on the local thing. I've been really focused on trying to sell stuff that I'm going to be making, something like $20 or more on after it sells. So now I make that on clothing, but I do that like every maybe 30 pieces or something. A lot of my clothing I make less than 10 or maybe 15. It just always turns out. I keep track of every dime. And so I'm glad I've done that because I think I would think that I was doing better if I wasn't. So I know a lot of people don't like to go through the trouble of keeping track of every single item and how much they paid for it, and then adding up the profit for each item. But I've been doing that, and I've got a pretty quick system for doing it. It's sort of like once you start doing it, it can be pretty quick. So it's really just like an extra 15 minutes every day. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Just depends if there's a glitch or if there's more sales, or I like to sit and analyze things. But really, you know, when you think about it, managers that manage, like I know the manager like at the convenience store that I go to all the time, I was told that he does an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of some kind of bookkeeping and inventorying and stuff like that every day. Like that's just a function of management, is to handle record keeping in addition to accounting for taxes, but other information that you can use to analyze the business and go, you know what, maybe we shouldn't even bother selling this product anymore. And it's just nice to see on paper. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm going to stop selling my cheapy clothes, but I'm really pushing myself to up my sales prices. My average has been around $17 per item sold, according to the eBay statistics. Which, you know, is not bad really, I guess, but if I was selling 30 things a day, like it would probably add up more, but I'm selling like maybe 6 to 8 things on average, sometimes 2 or 3 things a day, every once in a while 0, but most of the time it's like 2 or 3, worst case scenario, which, you know, I'm always happy for at least those 2 or 3, but and I'm starting to have a lot more over $100 days. If you haven't listened to any of my other ramblings, I had taken some time off, basically with a lot of distractions, helping out my dad and stuff. The first part of the year when it was like peak season, and my numbers had gone from well over $2,000 a month in total sales. I was pushing $3,000 a month in total sales, and then by the end of March, I had dropped down to under $1,000 a month in sales. But I mean, I listed virtually nothing for 3 months, and I was still doing around $1,000 for each month. Like it averaged out. January, February, March was about $1,000 in sales, which was kind of cool, actually, because I really didn't list hardly anything. I think I did list like maybe 50, 60 items here and there, but it was a good experience. I don't regret it, but I am backpedaling now, and I am really working hard to get those numbers back up, and I think I'm going to hit 2,000 for the end of May, so I'm really excited about that. Now, one thing that I haven't really decided how to think about it is my unlisted inventory and the amount of money that I have invested in unsold inventory. So I do keep track of that, and I have sort of 3 categories of unlisted inventory. I call it inventory that I'm in the middle of processing. Like these 2 items are on my processing spreadsheets, and I have one spreadsheet with everything that is hard good and how much I paid for each item. And then I have another spreadsheet for all of the unlisted clothing that I have currently and how much I paid for each one of those items. And so those 2 total less than $100, or they're close to 100, like in the 90s. So I've got about $90 worth of clothing that I need to get listed, or that I've spent on clothing that I need to get listed, and then I've got about $90 worth of hard goods that I need to get listed. Then I've got another spreadsheet of things that I'm saving for lots. Like, I have a bunch of jeans that I got a really super good deal on, but I'm a little leery about just listing a bunch of plain jeans, and I thought that I could use them for when I could lot them together with tops. I found another seller on eBay who is lotting pants and tops together, and they seem to go pretty good in threes. And so I thought that might be kind of something worth trying, which I've always wanted to do. And I can take my old inventory, maybe get a new top and an old top and one of those pairs of jeans that I paid basically $2 for, and, you know, make $12 on the deal or more, you know. I don't know, it's hard to say. And then if I have a lot of them, then that's going to be, you know, the gravity that brings people to my store, because they're like, if the people that like those kinds of deals, they'll like my store because maybe I have 25 or 30 of those going at any one given time, and maybe I'll do, my goal was to do like 2 or 3 of those a week. And one of the other things I was going to do was, when I go to the bins, there's always like some cute top, but it's probably not like something worth selling as a single, but you could throw it into the lot and you're picking it up for pennies. So I just thought that would be another way to deal with some of the excess, if you want to call it that, inventory that you invariably pick up at the bins, that you're like, yeah, this is cute, but I can probably get like maybe $7 for this, you know, and I'm like, I shouldn't have picked it up, even though in the end you only paid like maybe 20 cents for it, but still, 20 cents is 20 cents, and you got the thing. So, and then I have other things too that I can't remember what's on. Oh yeah, like I'm collecting party light stuff right now, or things like that I don't want to ship in the summertime because I live in the desert and it's extremely hot, and I am not shipping any candles until mid-October. I'm not listing any candles until mid-October. I'm telling you, it's from today until the end of September. It's going to be hot as sin in Phoenix, and so no candles. So I'm going to be collecting candle type things, party light stuff, and then in the fall, you know, I'll have probably have a bunch of stuff ready to go. And then some other things that just whatever I need to do something with. So that's on my lot list. So I've got 3 processing spreadsheets, and it's a little under $300. Now, hopefully by tomorrow I will have the majority, like around $175 worth of that stuff listed. The stuff that that's not on the lot list. And then I'm going to go sourcing after that. However, I may not, because what I just did was I had gone last fall, before I got distracted with personal family issues. I had started shopping at this auction in my local area, and you can buy stuff online, like you can bid online, and then you just go, anything that you win, you just go in and pick it up, and then they have like a live video, so I don't even have to go down there. Now, they probably have some other kind of cool deals, like table lots that didn't sell, and then now they're just giving them away for practically free. So one of these days I need to get down there so I can see where the super cool deals are, you know. But they don't really necessarily advertise that online, that they do that, and I don't know if that's how they do it, because I've never been there for the actual live auction. Although there's been one time I found some stuff in the dumpster that somebody was like, I don't want this, and I pulled it out. I'm like, I want it, and I made money. So it was kind of cool. And I made money on a lot of the stuff I've sold, and I still have a few things that I haven't listed. Like, I've got this big lot of like dollhouse furniture that I wasn't real excited about once I got it. I'll spare you the details, but it needs to be cleaned up, and sort of I need to figure out how I'm going to lot it together. And then I have like a bunch of jewelry, and I need to figure out how I'm going to put that together. I put some of it up online already, but nothing, the few pieces that were decent I already sold right away. And then so my idea was, again, that jewelry is something that I want to get a bunch more jewelry so, I can make better lots that kind of go together. And I've noticed that you can make really good money lotting jewelry together. But I don't feel like the jewelry that I've won at this particular auction was all that great, so I'm not gung-ho on getting the jewelry anymore. Although you gotta love the fact that it doesn't take up any space, and it is really neat to look at. But oh my God, people talk about the competition on clothing, but I'm sure, I can compete in the clothing market. I'm sure I could figure out a way to compete in the jewelry market. It's just a matter of listing stuff and figuring out what, laying stuff out there and seeing what people are picking up, to some degree. I mean, certainly you can do the research, but I think that this business is probably 70% research and experience, but to get the experience, you got to have some gut instinct on certain things. It's just the way it is. Like, for example, I have a KB hat, an employee hat that I picked up for like less than $1, I think, or about $1. And I've got it listed for like $25, and I would have listed it more, but it has a little hole in it. It's in pretty good shape except for the little hole, but there's hardly any of them listed. I haven't seen any solds, but I've got people looking at it, and I don't, it's hard to say what's going to happen with that. But the thing is it was super cheap. It doesn't take up any space, and that's part of a combination of instinct and knowing that those types of things sell, especially like defunct businesses, like people like the employee, like that it was an employee hat or whatever. And I've sold things like that before. So we'll see what happens with the KB one. And KB was a really good company. Really liked their story. And, yeah, KB. And I mean, come on, like a lot of us grew up with KB at the mall, and it's just too bad what happened. So what else have I been doing? Oh yeah, well, you know what, let's get back on to I've been questioning how I should think about the money that I have invested in my unsold inventory. I am at around $1,800, a little over $1,800 in listed, in how much money I have paid for my listed inventory, and I have about 750 items right now at this moment. It might be a little less than 750 right now. Well, let's just say it's about 750. And every day I'm getting back anywhere from $15 to $40 or something like that on my cogs. So it seems like the amount of money. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I really need to sit down. Maybe I need to sit down and analyze. And I do have those numbers, but I'm not really. I probably need to reorganize them in the way I keep track of them. But I'm just thinking, is it good to have $2,000 worth of stuff listed at a time? Or, I don't know how to think about that. So I don't know how you think about your inventory, or if there's a rule of thumb for how much inventory you have versus how much you're selling and how much you're bringing back in. But yeah, most of the stuff that I've purchased I think I averaged out that everything in my store, I guess if I had a calculator in front of me, I guess I could do it by hand. If I've got 750 things in my store and I spent $1,800 on those 750 things, how much is that per item? So I am grabbing my handy dandy calculator that I've had since high school that still works on the same battery, by the way. It's a Sharp Scientific Calculator EL-531A. Very good quality calculator, I must say. And it got me through trigonometry, although I don't remember anything about trigonometry, but I thought trigonometry was actually kind of fun. And I'd like to actually take that class again just to say, I know how to do trigonometry. I'll probably never do that, but you know. Okay, so I have 750 items, so 1,800 divided by 750. $2.40 per item is what I've basically paid if you want to narrow it down that way. And that's pretty good. And I've got, now the other number that I am starting to take more seriously is how many items in my store are priced over $20. Because especially if my average price per item is $2.40, and I maintain that, but I've got at least 60% of the items in my store are priced over $20, then that's really going to up my final net, my actual realized net. So that's what I've decided to focus on, and I really see that with a lot more clarity now. It's sort of like, I guess I'm the kind of person that has to do it the hard way for a while before I finally see the light. Like, I am not a genius. I do not go immediately like, yeah, why would I want to do it any other way? You know, But the other thing is a lot of what I've done was an experiment. Like, I have listed things higher than, like, for example, just recently I sold a Ralph Lauren sweater that at first I was like, yeah, this is probably like a $20 sweater. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to put it up at $30. So I ended up selling it right away for like the $30 mark. So I'm like so glad that I did that, and I really need to do that. And that's like probably the number one rule that we all need to remind ourselves every day. Start off high and you can go low later. But I always have doubts about that, because I'm like, I need to get this stuff to sell. Like, I need to create an income. And if listing stuff $5 cheaper or $10 cheaper, and I've still got a little bit of profit in there, but really, you know, the more I look at my numbers, the more I realize that things that actually sell for $20 or more, or over $15, I tend to sell more of that than I do all the stuff that I have listed for under 15, actually, like, or even under 10. It's like people don't even want to buy it. I think there's like this idea in their head that if you've got it listed for over 25, it must be something special. Now, there does have to be something special about it, but I still think in people's minds, it makes it more valuable because you've got a higher price. And I'm talking about used clothing. You know, like, yeah, well, that Ralph Lauren sweater is $15, but my Ralph Lauren sweater is more special. So I'm listing it for $30. And actually, it was kind of special. So that was the other reason why I'm like, I need to list this higher, because it was a particularly nice Ralph Lauren sweater. And let me tell you a little thing about Ralph Lauren. The Ralph Lauren cardigans, like the schoolgirl cardigans, do really good. Okay, so that's where my mind has been. That I just need to raise my bar And if I don't do that, I'm not, I want $3,000 a month to be like my bare minimum in total sales. Because if I can make that, that means I'm probably going to be making around, worst case scenario, $1,500 a month to maybe $2,000 a month in net. So, and I need that. I need about $700 to $1,000 to live off of. And that's also been another one of my challenges, is I'm not, like, I hear all these people talking about, like, I reinvest every single dime into the business. I'm not in a position to do that. I have been having to finagle money since the beginning, because when I started doing this, I did it to make money to pay for stuff, because I was already like at the low end of the income spectrum. So that's one of my challenges, and it is what it is. But I'm hopeful, and I'm a little nervous about that auction, because I bid up to about $225 worth of stuff. And usually what happens at those auctions, and if my battery goes dead, thanks for listening, because if you listen to me very often, I usually like run out of time, and then the video just ends, and I don't even get to say thank you and goodbye. But I do want to say that this is what happens at those auctions. I bid on a bunch of stuff, and then I try to pay attention toward the end, and then I'll bid up on anything that I feel like I can bid up on. But invariably, like, I'll bid $130, and then I end up only having to buy like $30 worth of stuff at the end. Although, when I first started buying at the auction, my goal wasn't, I wanted to be careful about overspending. But I did really good on a lot of the stuff I bought before, and it's kind of fun. I really like it. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about the auction, and how you can shop auctions in your area online, and it just is so much more relaxing and less stressful than being there in person. And then you can make the decision ahead of time that I'm bidding up on this item. And everything that I bid on, just about, there was a couple things I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do too good on it, and that's probably going to be the one I win. There's a couple things, but there was a lot of stuff is like stuff I can resell for $40 to $100, and the bidding starts at 10. So hopefully I will win some of those. I might have to get into the bidding game, the bidding war with some people. But the thing is right now it's really hot in Phoenix, and I think there might be less buyers right now. So I just realized that there might not be a huge pool of buyers right now, because it's hot as hell in Phoenix, and there's like a mass exodus. And then also the auction house itself is probably really hot, and there's probably a lot of people that don't do the bidding online. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week. It would be really amazing and crazy if I won at least half of those auctions, and I will probably do